So today we are going to celebrate in a small way the Buddha Purnima, the Buddha Jayanti. It's a thrice blessed day. On this very day, Bhagavan Buddha was born. On this very day, he attained nirvana, the illumination. And again on the same day, he attained parinirvana, the atyantika mukti, the final liberation on the dissolution of the body. He left his body on this day to attain the atyantika mukti as per our Vedantic idea is concerned. The same idea is being re-established with the term parinirvana in Buddhism. So that would say thrice blessed day. And today, just to observe Buddha Purnima, we will start as per the schedule which we have already notified all, with the chanting of the Pragya Paramita Stotram. The Pragya Paramita Stotram, I will share the screen so that you can also refer to the text, and along with that, it is a transliteration in English, and also side by side the translation is also given so that you can have an idea what is being chanted. So I will share the screen before I start the chant. Nirvikalpe namastubhyam pragyaparamite mite yatvam sarvana vadyangi nirvedyair nirikshase Akashamiv nirlepam nishprapanjam niraksharam yastvam pashyati bhavena sapashyati tathagatam Tavacharya gunadhyaya buddhasya cha jagat guru na pashyantyantaram shanta chandra chandrikayoriva Kripatmaka prapadyatvam buddha dharma purashari sukhena yanti mahatmyam atulam bhaktivatsale Nagachhashi kutaschitvam nacha kvachana gachhasi sthaneshvapi cha sarveshu vedvabhirnopalabhyate Ye tvamevam na pashyanti prapadyante cha bhavata prapthya cha vimuchyante tadidam ahadadbhutam त्वमेव वध्यते पश्यन् न पश्यन्नपि बध्यते त्वामेव मुच्यते पश्यन् न पश्यन्नपि मुच्यते अहो विस्मयनीयासि गम्भीरासि यशस्विनी सुदूरबोधासि मायैव दृश्यसे न च दृश्यसे सत्यैवामयि संवृत्या वाक्पथैर्वयमीदृशैः त्वाम् अस्तुत्यामपि सतिं तुष्टुवान्त सुनीरव्रत प्रज्ञापारमितं स्तुत्वा यन्मयोपचितं शुभम् तेनास्त्वा सुजगत्कृत्स्नम् प्रज्ञापार परायणम् तेनास्त्वा सुजगत्कृत्स्नम् प्रज्ञापार परायणम्. So today, on this special occasion of Buddha Purnima, the topic which we have chosen for today's discussion is Buddha, the rebel child of Hinduism. So now, this topic is actually adopted from a quotation of Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji, in not only one, in a few of his lectures, have just indicated that Buddhism is rebel child of Hinduism. So we all will agree that Buddhism has originated from Hinduism. Not only that, even Buddha is considered as one of the avatars, the divine incarnation in Hinduism. One of the great traits of Hinduism is that it has even included within its fold the one who have contradicted the Hindu philosophies, the various philosophies of the Hinduism, because of the various traits which actually speaks of adherence. All those revolt was actually to get rid of the dross. But we will find, if we really try to study Buddhism from the perspective of Vedanta, we will find actually Buddha is a true Vedantist in many aspects. And his religion actually tried to get rid of all the dross that has accumulated with the passage of time in the Hindu fold. And he's revolted. He was just like a rebel child. He revolted against all those limitations, the dross, which in the course of time has accumulated in the Hindu religion. As we have seen, even in the Bhagavad Gita, is again and again indicating to that. What he is indicating? that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya cha sadhunam. And this continues that whenever there is a decline of righteousness and there is a rise of unrighteousness, then and then the God incarnates to re-establish the religion. Of time, that there is a dilution of the religion, dharma glani. So in the time of Buddha, so what was the dharma glani which happened? We find in one of the Gita Govinda, the Jayadev's Gita Govinda, there is this one paragraph in which Buddha is being described as the avatar. What's that paragraph? Nindasi yagya vidheraha sruti jatam sadaya ridaya darshita pashughatam keshava dhrita buddha sharira jaya jagadisha hare. So, in the Buddha Avatara, we find that there is a story where this Swami Vivekananda is also referring to it, that he was rebelled. His revolt was against the huge paraphernalia of rituals which gradually started creeping in Hinduism. Elaborate rituals, elaborate yajna, in which animal sacrifice was one of the main component. And in one of the story we find, which Swami Vivekananda is also indicating, that when animal sacrifice was going to be there, Buddha asked that why, for what this animal sacrifice is going to be there. The one who was the yajamana, the one who was performing that sacrifice, he mentioned that it's meant for punya, that we will get the virtuous, by doing that we get the virtue. And with all those pious acts, we will gain heaven. And then Buddha told that just innocent creature, just by killing that, how much virtue you are going to get. If you can kill some evolved animal, won't you get more virtue? They told yes. Then Buddha told, then okay, I am ready to give away my life. Leave this animal. So that's the idea which has been indicated in this stanza, that Buddha was against this animal sacrifice. So now, let us try to understand that how, in the course of time, in Hinduism, that lot of dross has started accumulating. And it happens with the religion again and again. So in Hinduism, the word dharma, what actually it means? Dharyate iti dharma. That which holds us. You know that mind is such a thing, it cannot stay in one place. Either you have to culture it and pump it upwards, or its natural course is downwards. So I have to have something to hold this psyche so that I may not disintegrate. So in the basic, in a initial stage, dharma means that which holds us, by holding onto which we don't disintegrate. So that's dharyat, that which holds us. So in that sense, you will find the rituals, all our chanting rituals, they have a place. But how it has a place? That they keep my mind fixed in something which is to a certain extent, which is helping me to maintain my integrity. If I just, my mind is free, it would have tended towards some evil actions. My going to the shrine, my going to the temple, resorting to the rituals, all those keeps my mind very nicely integrated in all those practices. I'm keeping myself engaged, and it doesn't allow me to disorient to just fall off into some baser things of life. So basically, religion helps that way. But that's not the ultimate goal of religion. The word dharma also means that is visheshata, means like the what is the characteristic of water? To flow. What is the characteristic of fire? To burn. Similarly, as a human being, we have certain uniqueness. What's that uniqueness? We cannot be satisfied just with the material prosperity which from the life can give us. With all our effort, the material prosperity which we may have, we can never remain satisfied with that. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, khali pete dharma hoy na. You cannot practice religion in empty stomach. First, you have to have your basic needs. But once the basic needs are taken care of, I just cannot remain satisfied. Immediately, I cannot remain satisfied. Immediately the question, the meaning of life is bound to come and just constantly pester me. That what's the life after all for? Is there any purpose behind it? And there comes the second factor of dharma, that to answer that query, unless the first, the integration factor, leads to this inquiry, dharma can be something very dangerous. As we will find in the Swami Vivekananda used to say, it's good to be born in a church, but horrible to die there. So all those doctrines, dogmas, elaborate rituals, if they don't evolve to that inquiry, then at last we will find, instead of helping us to evolve, religion actually becomes something like an obsession which serves us no purpose. So now all those elaborate rituals, everything have some purpose. That, as I told, that it helps us to integrate. But if we do an excess of it, just we forget the purpose, that beyond this moral integration, to inquire about the purpose of life, to just get established in our spiritual nature. If we are not trying for that, then this only to hold yourself to certain level of existence, that has no meaning. That's why Swamiji how nicely used to say, it's good to be born in a church, but horrible to die there. By church, he doesn't mean any particular religion. Means any set belief, any doctrine, any dogma belonging to any religion. That's what he is indicating by the word church. So it's good to be born in a church. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, for a small sapling, it needs some hedge, because the grazing animal may come and it may harm that sapling. It may simply eat that sapling, chew off that sapling. So you need some hedge to protect it. But after 10 years, if you still say that I need the hedge, that's an indication of the fact the sapling has not grown. So after all, the sapling has to go off. When the tree is strong enough, as a sapling, it was so weak, any animal could have crushed it. And now with the growth, it is so strong, you can just tie an elephant. It cannot just release itself. It has become so strong. So, and then the hedge is not required. So all those rituals, all those our elaborate doctrines, dogmas, rituals, all our chantings, they have a purpose. They help us, like the hedge. When like a sapling, like a hedge, it helps us in the beginning of our spiritual journey. But if we become obsessed by that, we take them to be the be-all and end-all of religion, then those elaborate rituals become something obsessive, which becomes something which we are performing beyond the purpose. So that's why we find Buddha is dead against those elaborate rituals, which has accumulated in Hinduism. That was not the purpose. In the Vedic scripture, all those yajnas, were not something meant to just bind us within some practices. It was meant to lead to some inquiry, to the spiritual inquiry. If that doesn't happen, they have no purpose. So that's why we find the Buddha is revolting against that. But not only that, then we find again that he is also revolting against the animal sacrifice. Now, there was the practice of animal sacrifice in the yajnas. You'll find Ashwamedha yajna and other yajnas. There was the practice of animal sacrifice. Now, is animal sacrifice something which has no purpose, has no utility? Actually, there is some purpose for the animal sacrifice also. These animal sacrifices were not meant to give license to our propensities. They were meant to restrict all the propensities. You know how? That if some Vedic injunction is there that don't kill animals, don't feed on flesh, if that some dictum is there, all the people are not same. Our evolution, as per our evolution, the human society has various gradations of human being. There are many people who cannot follow that. And then what will happen? We will simply say such and such people who cannot follow, they're out of the Vedic religion, Vedic culture. Now, Veda was there to include all, not to exclude, not to boycott anyone. So they understood very well that if we say that just you have to simply abolish this flesh eating, you just restrict yourself only to the vegetarian diet, then what happens? A huge section of the society will just simply not follow it and will be out of the fold. And religion will not serve any purpose for those people. So how to include all? The basic purpose, the success of religion is to take the human being where he or she is, and to upgrade him gradually. Not to say that as you are not following certain rules, you are boycotted. That way religion doesn't serve any purpose. I have to take the human being wherever, in whatever level of existence they are, from there gradually they have to be evolved. So yajnas are very wonderful, you will find that the prescription of animal sacrifice was there in the yajnas. But very interesting, apart from yajna, you cannot just simply kill an animal just to satisfy your propensities. You cannot. We are supposed to take only yajna shishta. In Bhagavad Gita also it has been mentioned. Yajna shishta means after offering whatever is remaining, that we can take as a consecrated food. Just to satisfy my propensities, I cannot just kill an animal and take it. So you have to undergo certain rituals, certain yajna, in which the animal will be sacrificed. And now again, very interesting thing, that yajna cannot be performed whenever I feel like eating meat. I perform a yajna and sacrifice an animal and have it. No. There were particular periods, particular time, and only particular animals were prescribed, not all. That you cannot disturb the ecology by killing whatever animal you want. Only a few animal was prescribed, that also in a particular day, particular period of the year, you can sacrifice, and then you can have it as a consecrated food. So now you see, it is not a license. It is actually restricting our propensities, and gradually, with the help of the propensities, we are just resorting to the propensities in such a way that instead of getting obsessed by them, gradually we are getting sublimated. Our obsessions are getting sublimated. How? Now, when I suppose any food, the first mango of the season, I go, I buy, and just I like it and simply I swallow it. I just simply eat it. That is just simply fulfilling my desire. I do the same thing. but I do it in a bit different way. What I do, I buy the mango. First, I bring it, offer it to the divine. Now also I am fulfilling my propensity. I now bring it from the offering table to my dining table. Now I have it, but you all have experienced. Now, though you are fulfilling your desire, but a sense of devotion has developed. Oh, this is a consecrated food. This is prasadam. And now you will find a devotional entity has entered into your propensity. And gradually that will increase. The devotion will increase. The propensities will be shadowed. So now what? You are not forcing yourself to restrict all your propensities by forcefully getting rid of them. You cannot do that. So you will find the sacrifices as a wonderful place in the Vedic scripture. It was actually restricting our propensities and it was sublimating them so that gradually we evolve spiritually. But in course of time, what happened? We forgot that purpose. Now, instead of you just restricting our propensities, the yajnas became the license to kill animals. Whenever, and we feel that the so-called yajnas became the pretext to kill animals and fulfill my desire, and elaborate rituals with innumerable number of animals being killed, the sacrifices were done. And that actually spoke of cruelty, disturbing the ecology, disturbing the total system, and it was just simply fulfilling my propensities in the name of religion. So now Buddha's first revolution was against these negative implications which crept into dharma with the passage of time. This is the first revolt, that he found that elaborate rituals, people are just doing it without having any, knowing the meaning of it. It is just some engagement. It doesn't actually allow him to get more degraded, but at the same time, there is no spiritual query. And again, the sacrifices degrades that person. Animal sacrifice degrades that person by succumbing him to the propensities of flesh eating. With this beyond the necessity, he resorts to all those things. So Buddha found that what's going on in the name of religion is just cruelty. See, now you will find it has, this Buddha's first revolution has something to do with the vegan movement in the present world. The same thing, actually. That's why Buddha rebelled against, revolted against these negative implications which crept into dharma with the passage of time. So today we will see that why Swamiji used to say that Buddha is a rebel child of Hinduism. That's the first revolt. Now, the second revolt is again very important, very interesting. The second revolution. Buddha kept silent about God, Brahman, Atman, etc. Buddha never spoke about God. It's not that he denied God. He denied Atman. He never said that there is no self. We will come to that discussion. He never said that there is no God, there is no Brahman. All the concepts of divinity which has been spoken of in the Vedas, he never said that they don't exist. What he did was he just kept silent. Now there's a very interesting story in the life of Buddha. One day, that as Buddha never used to speak of God, a person one day came and just asked Buddha directly, well, you never speak of God. Do you believe that that God is? Buddha was silent. He never answered. The man thought that most probably he doesn't believe in God. That's why he's silent. So then told, oh, then most probably you don't believe in God. So God doesn't exist according to you, isn't it? Again, Buddha was silent. The man lost his patience. He told, you just say, do you really believe in the existence of God or not? Buddha simply maintained silence. The man was frustrated. He left. One of the disciples of Buddha who was standing beside him, Ananda, the devoted disciple of Buddha, he also was puzzled. He asked his Lord Buddha, why don't you answer? Just either you just say that God exists or not, some answer you should give to that person. And that's, we will find the Buddha's response is very interesting. The index finger is not the moon. Very interesting. What actually told? What he told that I never preach any philosophy. I just speak of the way, not of the ultimate goal. I never speak of the goal. I speak of the path. I just like when you want to indicate something, you want to show something at a far off distance, we use our index finger. With the index finger, we point. And now that index finger is not the thing which I'm pointing, isn't it? So now what Buddha told is very interesting. The index finger is not the moon. Actually, there's a story behind it. That, a very small infant who is yet to develop focus. The small child has a very diffused consciousness. It cannot focus on anything. The mother picks up that child on her lap, takes the child outside, and just to show the moon to the child at night, points towards the moon in the sky and says, see my child, there's the moon. The child is so attached to the mother, and as it has developed no focus, it just goes on looking at the mother's face. The mother says, you fool, it's not me, this is the moon. And then again tries to point to the moon with the index finger, but the child its attention never goes to the index finger. Then the mother gets hold of the chin of the child, forcefully turns towards the index finger to point to the moon. With all this attempt, at last, the mother finds that she is not successful. The child is now looking at the tip of the index finger. For the child, that personality, that mother is everything. The child cannot just simply move out of that mother's personality, this psychophysical existence, to really look at the moon. So for the child, with all these attempts, the mother's attempt becomes unsuccessful. Why? Because the child at last, when the mother is pointing to the moon with the index finger, the child's attention is on the index finger. So Buddha says, my condition is something like that. I am trying to show something. And for that showing something, that I am indicating a way. That way is like the index finger. When you follow the way, you go to the realization. What's the realization? Buddha never spoke of it. Why? Very interesting. The biggest problem is, for us, God, Brahman, Atman are all mere words. They are all ativada. In Upanishad, they use the term ativada. They are the terms for which we have no realization. It's just a belief. Now, Buddha found very interesting the thing that if just I ask the people to believe, it remains just a belief. It never impels them, motivates them to realize something. And unless it's realization, it's mere words. The example which we give again and again, unless you have tasted the mango, can anyone explain you the taste of mango just by mere words? It's impossible. In the words of Ramakrishna, Kamon ghi na jamon ghi. Can you explain the taste of clarified butter unless you have yourself tasted it? So Buddha found that God, Brahman are mere words. There is a way out to reach that spiritual state, whatever you may term it. Importance should be given to that. And Buddha was trying through the silence. That's the thing. He found that in Hinduism, in those days it was not known as Hinduism, it was the Sanatan Dharma or the Vedic religion, the Vedic Dharma. And this Vedic Dharma became full of speculations. There are so many vadas, there's so many opinions, all fighting, trying to describe the nature of the ultimate reality. And Buddha found it's fruitless. The discussion will lead nowhere. What is required is a set of practice through which you go to the realization. And once you go to the realization, there is no need of words. So that's why Buddha told, I am trying to show out the way. I never speak of the philosophy, the ultimate, I never speak of the ultimate reality. But the biggest problem is people take the index finger to be the moon. The index finger is not the moon. Now again, in Buddhism, you will find this wonderful revolt. This Buddhism, a Buddhism just making in those days. But now again the question comes that how can we proceed unless we have the ideal of the goal? We must have the idea of the goal. Unless we have a destination, we have something as a destination, how can we proceed in our journey? Now Buddha's response was wonderful in this matter. He used to relate an anecdote of a person pierced by a poison arrow. He used to say a very interesting thing, that suppose a person is passing through the forest and suddenly from nowhere a poisoned arrow comes and pierces that person. And now, what is the duty of that person? Will he sit down to ponder who has shot the arrow, why he has shot the arrow, what poison he has used? If he just try to find out those answers, the poison will start acting and he will die. His immediate duty is to forget about who has shot the arrow, why, what poison, to forget about that, immediately resort to some medication, some antidote, to remove the arrow and apply the antidote and save himself. So Buddha, very interestingly, is telling the story that there is so much of discussion that of ajnana, of ignorance. How it came, why it came, what's there beyond that. Will it in any way help you? It is just like the person who has been pierced by a poison arrow and is constantly speculating about the nature of the poison, about the one who has shot it, something like that. You have been shot by the poisoned arrow with the ignorance. Get rid of it. So now the next thing we will find is very interesting. Buddha never started with God, Brahman, from the top. He started from the bottom. He spoke, when he came from after the realization, after nirvana, when he delivered his first talk, the first discourse. In his first discourse, he spoke of the four noble truths. The first was that there is dukkha. The first noble truth. He started his discourse with that. Very wonderful thing. It is a thing, dukkha, or dissatisfaction, or loosely translated, the sufferings in life, is something. Can anyone say, I don't know? If I ask, do you believe in God? Thousands of opinions will be there. Some may say, I believe. Some may say, I don't believe. And none of them actually knows what it is. But can we say we don't know what dukkha is? So it's very interesting. He started with something of which we all have experience in life. That we are never satisfied. Our urge for this fulfillment of the pleasures of life goes on. We go on pursuing. It never gets satisfied. That eternal dissatisfaction, that's the first noble truth. You will find a wonderful thing Buddha has done. In the modern day language, we speak of bottom to top reformation in contrast to the top to bottom reformation. Buddha in the spiritual journey, you can say the only religion which all the religion starts from top to bottom. This first make us believe in the existence of some divinity, some God, Atman, Brahman, and with that belief, we have to pursue our journey. Here there is no question of belief. It's a palpably realized fact, the dukkha. Every one of us in this life are dissatisfied in some way or other. We have realized that. And with that realization, he's starting. It is from bottom to top reformation. And it is the real effective way. No reformation can happen from top to bottom. To give an example, when this tobacco, The smoking became something beyond control. It became rampant. The drug addiction became rampant in the 60s and the 70s, in those days. Very interesting thing, you will find all the developed nations in the European countries, and in those days, they took some legal measure. Through some legal measure, they banned the traffic, this peddling of drugs. In the open market, you cannot sell drugs. It was banned. So it was that they took some legal action. It was as if they tried from the top to reform everything. From the top, the order is given, and it should spread to all the people, and they should follow it. That is the top to bottom. What happened actually, we will find, when legally it was banned, immediately we find that the smuggling is there. The drugs are smuggled, and just to maintain that network, the mafia has developed. They have more sophisticated weapons than the police force. Now the police force has to be provided with more sophisticated weapons, and constantly there is a chance of clash, war, tension. And the drug trafficking is going on. So nothing has happened. Only we have increased the tussle, the tension in the society, and no reformation has happened. But what is the bottom to top reformation? Instead of trying to implement some laws, if we would have done something differently, which now these governments are thinking, and it has been implemented in so many places, that we need not go to ban them immediately, because it won't help. Let us go to the school. Let us go to the educational institutions. Let us spend money in conducting awareness camps, where all the students are made aware of the evil effects of tobacco, evil effects of drug. For the drug, it is yet to be successful, but all this tobacco is already a big success. The cigarette smoking has reduced by this awareness, which started from the bottom. How it happened? Once I'm aware of the evil effects of all this addiction, if I don't resort to it, the market automatically collapses. I need not have to legalize by banning them. Just if I don't resort to them, if the general public doesn't resort to them, automatically the entire the market collapses. There's no need for armed force, weapons, sophistications, nothing is required. And that becomes effective way, in a very nice way, in a very peaceful way. You will find the reformation has happened. Silently it has happened. So here also, Buddha did that's why Swami Vivekananda used to say, in the history of the human race, if you ask me who is the most rational man, he said Buddha is the most rational man. He never resorted to any sort of belief. He just took the world as it is, and from there he gave us a push. So he started with the dukkha. That's the first noble truth. And through that way, we will find he's the real doctor. All the divine incarnations are Bhava Roga Vaidya. They are the doctor of the disease called worldliness. So how to get rid of the worldliness. This world, after all, is not going to give me anything. But we are so much obsessed by it. How to get rid of this obsession and become aware of some another dimension of existence, to cure us from this worldliness, all the divine incarnations incarnate. And Buddha also is a great Bhavaraga Vaidya. What's the purpose? What's the way the doctor works? First, he will be diagnosing the disease, and then the doctor will be prescribing the remedy, prescribing the way out of that disease, prescribing the cure. So that's the same thing we will find the Buddha in his very first discourse he has done. He speaks of dukkha or dissatisfaction. There is dukkha. It is a common fact in this life. And then what is the cause of dukkha? There's a diagnosis he is doing. Tanha, that is clinging or craving to hang on to the things that don't last. So that is, you will find that all the things to which we cling, they are like a flow. We cannot cling them. But again and again, our attempt to cling to them is creating this dissatisfaction. Everything is flowing. That's what's the meaning of the word samsara. Samsarate iti samsara. Everything is flowing. Nothing is permanent. But I somehow get deluded and think that if I get such and such thing, that is going to give me eternal happiness. And it never happens. It just slips off and it makes us cling more and more and more. And this tanha, this desire for something ephemeral, is the cause of dukkha. So now we'll find like this first and the second noble truth is the diagnosis of the human predicament. Now there should be a remedy, the third and the fourth. He is now like a doctor, he's first giving the assurance. Yes, this disease can be cured, dukkha can be annihilated. First the assurance. And now the fourth is the prescription. The eightfold path is there to annihilate the dukkha. Now he prescribes some eightfold path, some prescription. So you will find how he's revolting. In the second revolt, the first revolt was against all those elaborate yajnas. The second revolt is against the idea of God. It is not that he doesn't, he is just totally challenging the the God. He's silent about it. There is no need to talk about it. Let us go through our journey. It will take you to the realization. And once you realize, even Vedanta says the same thing, it cannot be spoken of. It is avang manasagocharam. The thing which is beyond your speech, beyond your mind, which can be realized, but which cannot be described. You can realize it, but you cannot describe. Mukha aswadanavat. Even in Vedanta they say that. It is just like a dumb person, deaf and dumb person who has tasted something and is very elated. From his facial expression you find he's very elated. And you ask, what's that which makes you so happy? And he cannot explain. Mukha aswadanavat. If that's the truth, then what's the use of simply describing, of trying to describe the thing which cannot be described? Resort to a path. Know where you are, what's the disease, try to get rid of the disease, and for that he's prescribing the eightfold path to annihilate the dukkha. So we are just like a doctor. He's diagnosing the human predicament and then he's prescribing for getting rid of that human predicament. And then this prescription. What this prescription is? This eightfold path. What are they? The right view, the right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So what are they? It's something very simple. The first two is an intellectual understanding of the way the things of the world are. We are deluded. We don't understand that what actually the world's real nature is. So first have right view. That will give you the right intention. If I know, just when I go to the doctor and the doctor says that you have developed diabetes, I know that because of my wrong ways of life, I have developed some disease. Now the right intention, once I become aware of the cause of the disease, then the intention develops. I have to change my food habit. The intention now comes. Similarly here, first we have to have the correct view of the nature of the world. And then the right intention comes. So that gives you the intellectual understanding. But that's not all. Now we have, after even you understand, just like a drug addict, the drug addict understands what's the cause of his suffering. But because of the obsession, because of the addiction, though intellectually he or she understands that what has to be renounced, what has to be relinquished, he or she cannot do that. Obsession forces him again to the old ways, old paths. So intellectual understanding is not sufficient. Now there should be a way to get rid of all the wrong way of life, which has become an obsession. So first, you need to practice some virtues, moral virtues. It's in all the religions. That's the right speech. I never speak something untruth, right action, right livelihood. These are the basic things. In any religion, first you have to take care of your external environment. This right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, that first, if I have some tussles and tensions in my external dealing, I cannot think of calming down my mind and sit for spiritual practice. First, my dealing with the world should be such that it shouldn't create tussles and tensions. All the shilas, the virtues actually speak of that. And then the real spiritual practice through which it will lead me to the experiential understanding. It is not just mere intellectual understanding. I have to experience the truth. Then only the cause of suffering can be annihilated. For that, the last to practice, the right mindfulness and right concentration. So you will see, Buddha is extremely rational. He is not that he doesn't believe in God. Because in the very second discourse we will find, we will just go to the next slide. In the next doctrine of anatma, from which many people think that Buddha spoke of non-self in the very second discourse. How can you say that he never spoke, he was never against the idea of self? He was against the idea of self. The second discourse itself says that it was the doctrine of the idea of anatma. But very interesting. We always commit mistake while studying the scriptures because of our bias. If you really go to the original scripture, you will find Buddha never told that there is no self. What he told was that there is no self in 5 aggregates. Very interesting. Now, what are the 5 aggregates which constitutes our entire personality? What's our personality? We have a form. This is our physical form. We all are aware of it. We have our perceptions with the 5 senses we are perceiving. We have a form. We have perceptions. The form is one aspect of our personality. Perceptions, all the sense perceptions which we are having, that is another aspect. All those perceptions lead to some feelings. Some are pleasant, some are unpleasant. Something I taste may be pleasant. Something I taste may be unpleasant. Something I see may be pleasant, something I see may be unpleasant. So all the 5 senses, it results in whatever I am perceiving that may be either pleasant or unpleasant. So that is resulting in feelings. So that's the third aspect of my personality. The fourth aspect is another interesting. Based on those feelings, I develop emotions. I develop opinions, isn't it? So that's the mental formations. So these are the aspects of my personality. But all these are linked with the consciousness. This consciousness is not the consciousness which the Vedanta speaks of. It is the consciousness, this idea, So this consciousness is that awareness that I am aware of my form. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Even in the present day, you will find that the science sometimes claim that we have created artificial intelligence, which is almost like a human being. Yes, as per the stimuli response is concerned, it is almost like human being. If I just order it something, it follows my order. It appears to be conscious. But very interesting thing. Does the robot knows that it sees? Does the robot knows that it is performing certain action? It has been programmed in such a way that when certain stimulus is there, it responds in a particular way. But is it aware of all its action? That's the big question. So here, this consciousness is the awareness of our form. I am aware of my form. I am aware of my perception. I am aware of my feelings. I am aware of my mental formations. And this all constitutes our personality. Just see how rational is Buddha. He's taking just the thing which we all realize. And then what he's saying is very interesting. That myself is not in any of them, because they're constantly changing, constantly changing. The idea of self is something which is unchanging. Now, when I try to find out where that self is, all these things which constitute my personality, we find all of them are changing. Then how can it be the self? So this is not all these five aggregates cannot be the self. So what he is saying, the doctrine of anatma is very interesting. He is never saying that there is no self. It is just a phrase, it is not the full sentence. What is, he told in his second discourse is, there is no self in the form, there is no self in perception, there is no self in feelings, there is no self in mental formations, there is no self in the awareness of all these forms, perception, feelings, and mental formations. It is just like the idea of Panchakosha in Vedanta, that our wrong sense of identity with our body, with our mind, with our intellect, with our vitality is something which is not me. We are constantly having that wrong sense of identity. We have to go beyond that. So that's what Buddha is indicating by that doctrine of anatma. So once you know that everything is a flow, what you think to be your something solid, tangible personality is actually just a flow, then the right intention comes. Not to yield to them, because you own none of them. That the good thoughts you don't own, they just come to your mind, they go away. The bad thoughts you don't own. They are just mental formations. They come and go. You own neither the good nor the bad. So you have to go beyond them. So for that, first you have to, for that, the calming down of the mind is the basic spiritual practice. So first I have to take care of my external world by right speech, right action, right livelihood, and right effort. Now it is this right effort in which again Buddha revolves. He found in the olden days, in those days, there are two groups of people. One who takes this material all to be the be-all and end all of our existence. They extend it even to the heaven, that is also something material. And they're grossly involved in yajna, all those rites, spiritual practices. That's one group. And another group has got frustrated by all those things. They have left their hearth and home. They have went to some forest. They're the recluses. And they have resorted to extreme austerity, extreme penances. They won't even take food. They will become something skin and bones. Buddha himself resorted to that type of practice. He had some 5 companions. And Buddha was about to die. You know that just before his nirvana, he fainted because of lack of proper food. It was Sujata who gave that rice porridge, which again revived him back. And then through the spiritual practice, he reached a realization. So that's why he's saying that don't resort to some extreme penances. It's not going to help you spiritually. That's the right effort. He used to give the example of a stringed musical instrument. You know, if a string like a sitar, if you tune it, if you just tune the strings very tightly, where the moment you try to play on that instrument, the strings will break off. They will tear off because because of the tremendous tension. And if it is slackened, you won't get the tune out. If you won't get the music out of it, it is slackened. So it has to be tuned just to the perfect. The tension should be perfect to get out the music. So now both the extremes has to be avoided. Nor go to the indulgence and get slackened, nor go to the extreme penance and get highly tensed. Just as in the Bhagavad Gita, God has mentioned yuktahara viharasya. That's the idea of madhyapantha. There he revolted. He saw in Hinduism in those days, they were going to the extremes. The one who is in the world is extremely obsessed by it. The one who renounces is going to the extreme penances. He spoke of madhyapantha, that have everything just as per the necessity. Just in English, there is a very nice way of saying it. Needs are seeds and wants are weeds. As Mahatma Gandhi also used to say, there is sufficient resource in the world to take care of our needs. but we don't have sufficient resource to take care of our wants. So that's the thing. We should know what's the need and what's the want, just restrict to the need and proceed in your spiritual journey. So that's the Madhya Pantha. Once you have done that, now the real practice comes. Right mindfulness. Now it's almost time. We will just very short, we will say that entire Buddhist practice, now you will find everywhere they speak of this mindfulness. It has even entered into the universities, the academic field, because it has been found to be highly effective. What is mindfulness? Now, our mind is not just one mind. There are various mental modules. In short, we can say that it is not that we who take the decision. Each and every mental module has its own fixed stimuli response conditioning. The way it will respond, it is fixed. Now, the mental module which has got activated, according to that module, the decision is taken, but it gives us a feeling that I have decided. Even in the last few classes, we were giving that example. A young mother passing down the street alone, hears the barking of the dog, she starts running frantically out of fear. The same lady, the next day she is holding the child. And now you will find a wonderful thing. What to speak of the barking of a dog? Even if a lion just jumps in front of her, today she is going to safeguard the child and face the lion. The same lady who was afraid of the barking of the dog, today has the sufficient courage even to give away her life. How it has happened? The previous day when she was walking down the street alone, then the mental module, which is called the self-preservation module, that got activated, in which the response is run, save yourself. The next day, child protection module got activated. You may say, why? Why not the self-protection? Because the nature has created us in that way. Once the child is there, the nature knows that the nature will be continuing, the life will be continuing through the offspring. My purpose is done. So the child's life is more important. So the nature has programmed it in such a way, in such situation, the child protection module will get activated. And now there the response is totally different, just the opposite. You are ready even to give away your life. Now there are innumerable such modules in our psyche. Now when you are sitting, you think of relaxing. When you have no work, you just sit down to relax. And now you think, let me relax, my body also will relax, my mind will relax. And that's the time you find your mind cannot relax. All sorts of weird thoughts starts coming. You're thinking something good, suddenly some weird thought comes and just totally covers your, totally shadows your psyche with that, all those unwanted thoughts. And you feel pitiable. Why it happens? Now, our condition, my ego is just like a granny who, all the grandchildren during the holidays have came to just be with the granny. There are so many grandchildren. Now the granny is sitting in an easy chair, or all these grandchildren are sitting around her. Now all these children want to be pampered by the nanny. So what they do? In various ways, they will never allow the nanny, the grandmother, to relax in this chair. In various ways, they will try to grab her attention because they all want to be pampered. Now, all those mental modules are like the grandchildren whom we have pampered for long period, for we don't know for how long. Now, they have been nourished by me. They all want to be pampered. So when you're in the default mode, you find all are trying to jump forth. You cannot control the mind. Right mindfulness comes there. That till now, every day morning, I was feeding so many birds. Today, I decide I won't feed them. But the birds, they are already habituated. For long, I have fed them. They won't stop coming. So they, as usual, as per the habit, come. But I wait patiently that even if they come, they try to draw my attention. I am not going to yield. I am going to stop feeding them. So one day you stop, the second day again they come. The third day again they come. But if you have your patience, perseverance, then what happens? Gradually they get the feedback that we are not going to be fed anymore. and then they start falling off. They don't come anymore. So that's the thing which is in mindfulness. See, there is not resorting to God, nothing. Just take care of the mind which you know. Now you can get rid of all those modules which are constantly making you mad by being mindful and not allowing any of them to be pampered. I have nourished them, no more I'm going to nourish them. Let them come. I will face them. I will see them. I will not run away from them. I will not yield to them. So that's the right mindfulness. Once you have calmed down the mind, that's not the end. All our academics end with that. But Buddha speaks of right concentration. Now focus on your breath. As he is not speaking of God, on prana, breath. That's a practice in Buddhism. Even in some Tibetan Buddhism, they focus on mantra. That leads to the next spiritual this evolution. What happens? So in a very short, we can say that what happens, when you are focused, you will find that when I'm talking to you, it needs only a part of my mind to remain engaged in the talk. So other things distract me. If someone shouts my name, I hear it. But when I'm watching something very interesting in the TV, someone calls, I don't hear. Why? The more I get focused, the more part of our mind is taken away by the object of focus. Now, after the mindfulness, when the mind is sufficiently calm, you have to have something to focus and develop a habit to focus on it. Then what happens? Gradually, you will find the other distractions are falling off. And the focus when becomes quite intense, even you forget about your bodily, all the activities. You know that hunger is also a body alarm, is a biological alarm. When I am hungry, it tries to take a part of my mind to make me aware of my hunger. But when you are extremely focused, you will find that when you are very much focused in seeing the TV, some game is going on, the match is going on, you forget your dinner. So others may be pestering you, please come have your dinner, you have forgotten. Hunger you have forgotten, because all the mind has been taken away by your object of concentration. So other things starts falling off. And that at last gives a tremendous relaxation. What's the relaxation is? Because till now, you have never got rid of all these bodily needs. For the first time it happens, and you can continue without them. You have entered a state of videha. The body is there, but you don't feel it. What's the condition is like? It's just like you are having a backpack of a huge weight. You're carrying it for long. You never get it down. You just carry it and you're traveling. You have carried it so long that it has become a part of your body. You have got so habituated with it. And so as it is always with you, you never feel uneasy because you are already habituated with it. But suddenly you sit down and it is removed from your back. With it, you are not feeling uneasy. But the moment it is taken away from you, immediately you feel tremendous relaxation. Oh, such a weight I was carrying, I never even realized. The moment it is taken away, a tremendous let go, a light sensation comes. That happens when all the mental modules falls off, and that is still more, that practice becomes still more effective through concentration. Your mind is focused, all the modules have fallen off, and then you enter a state of videha. The body is no more there. Only the happiness is there. Today's talk, I will end with the anecdote of Cheshire Cat to explain this idea. In the Alice in Wonderland, there is a character called the Cheshire Cat. It's a wonderful this character. What's that? That Alice now and then will be confronting this cat, this Cheshire Cat. It's a very witty cat. Whenever Alice says something, immediately it will reply and it will question something. Now, by the time Alice thinks of the answer and is about to reply, the cat has vanished. And now Alice gets angry. You never give me time even to answer. Why you vanish? Why don't you just, if you have to go, disappear slowly? Why you just simply instantly vanish? Now the Cheshire Cat have a huge grin from year to year. We're told, okay, you don't want me to go off suddenly? Okay. Now the cat gave such sufficient time to disappear. At last, Alice finds a very interesting thing. The entire cat has vanished. Only the grin is seen. So sometimes jokingly in Buddhism, they say that ultimately through that right concentration, you enter that state of the Cheshire Cat where your body has fallen off. Only the grin, the tremendous happiness, the joy which you have never ever experienced, that comes out when you get rid of the baggage of this your mind, of the body, of the senses, to the right mindful and right concentration, taking you to that realization of the nearest state of nirvana, which again has to be experienced, which cannot be explained. So now you will find how that Buddha is just rebelling against all the wrong the practices in Hinduism that has accumulated. All the things which he has spoken of, you will find is just tallying with Vedanta. There is no difference. Only you take up with the wrong beliefs, wrong practices, that pure Vedanta in essence is what has been spoken also by Buddha. That's why much later, when Shankaracharya is speaking of Advaita Vedanta, people find so much similarity with Buddhism that he has been sometimes criticized as Prachanna Buddha, that he is a crypto-Buddhist, hidden Buddhist. But actually, all these avatars are speaking the same thing. When you go to the realization, all the mystics speak in the same language. Sometimes it appears as if he's speaking someone else's philosophy. No. The moment you go to the realization, in the words of Ramakrishna, all the fox howls there in the same manner. Once you go to the realization, all the fight is between the doctrines and dogmas. As long as we are in the level of belief, why we fight? As long as I have not tasted the mango, someone comes and asks and says me, mango is sweet and mango is having a nice flavor. What will happen? Those who have not tasted the mango, someone will develop an opinion. Oh, mango is as sweet as molasses, and it has the flavor, a smell like rose. Someone may say, no, it has the sweetness of honey and it smells like jasmine. So now you will find all these various opinions are there because none have tasted. As just based on those words, they have developed their own doctrines and dogmas, and all the fight happens because of that. All the divine incarnations through that index finger is pointing to the realization. Once we understand that, we will find there is no fight. They are all the fox howls in the same manner. And that's why God has to incarnate again and again from time to time to again take us away from the wrong path. In the process of our journey, now and then deviate from the mainstream, go to some tracks, side track. He has to come and again put us in the main path so that we also evolve spiritually and can realize the ultimate goal for which the incarnations incarnate again and again out of unconditional love. So that's the compassion of Buddha. That's the compassion of all divine incarnations to lead us to the spiritual realization. So with our earnest prayer to Buddha that he may guide us to the correct spiritual journey and not make us get deluded, and just see that we don't get deluded with all the dross, all the wrong beliefs, and just helps us to be aware of the real true spirituality. With that prayer, let us stop our discussion today. Om Shanti, Shanti.
Namaskar. Swamiji, I have a small question about mindfulness and concentration.
Yeah, please.
The way I understood it so far from other lectures, mindfulness is nothing but concentration, but your mind is full of nothing but the subject of your concentration.
Yeah.
Is that too simplistic an understanding?
Yeah, no, you will find that there are so many meditation processes in the world. You will find various schools, various beliefs they speak. But at last, if you try to find out what they're speaking, you will find there are only two practices. Only two practices. But last two paths of the Eightfold Path, either it is mindfulness, you are not focusing on anything, you are just watching the mind and just seeing and just watching that. You are not allowing all the distractions to come and cloud your mind. You're just watching. You are as if not the mind, you are the spectator of your mind and watching. That's the mindfulness. That's the one practice. And another practice is the focus. I take a desired object of meditation and focus, and other things falls off out of my mind. These are the two practices which you will find. All the process, whatever they may speak of, at last it boils down to either mindfulness or concentration. Nothing else you can find. These are the two things on which all the practices boils down.
So you think they are two different concepts?
Two different concepts, but Swamiji, even others also you will find the mindfulness is first.
Okay.
Now, because in the universities and all the focus factor, I don't know for some reason or other, they don't discuss on it much. The mindfulness itself they find is quite therapeutic. I won't say it is spiritual evolution, it is therapeutic. But once you have that mind, first you need that mindfulness, because that gives you the basic calmness.
Okay.
You know, in your day-to-day life, suddenly you try to focus, you will find you're forced out of meditation, because when the mind is already so much disturbed, you just simply cannot enter into the meditation in one go.
Separate yourself.
So best first practice the mindfulness for some time, let the mind calm down, and then you go to the focus.
Okay.
Even Swami Vivekananda in Raja Yoga is also describing the same process. First mindfulness, then concentration. Even in Buddha also we find the same thing.
Thank you. Very nice lecture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaskar. So we are ending the conference.
No,
thank you, Swamiji.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you.
Pranam Maharaj.
Namaskar.